Hi everyone, I'm Saleha, and this is Friday Night on the Rocks. And joining me virtually from Bombay is Sangita Marda Agarwal. I'm sure you've all read the beautiful stories that she puts up on Calcutta Unlimited. So, yes, I reached out to her and asked her if she would hang out with me. Hi, Sangita.
Hi, Saleha. It's actually a pleasure to connect to the Calcutta, unlimited people again through your Adda. And of course, a chance to connect with you. That's wonderful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for inviting me.
Pleasure. Pleasure is all mine.
Yeah,
So, you grew up in Calcutta.
yeah, absolutely. And the moment when you said you're inviting me to an Adda, oh my God, because how I miss my Addas. So, in Mumbai, they say let's hang out or let's
Yeah.
chill, but nobody says Adda. Yes, I grew
So,
up in Kolkata.
yeah.
I not only grew up, I would say I was sensitized in the aesthetically rich city of Kolkata. I did my schooling, my college, my university, and I was working there. So I actually just moved to Mumbai a decade ago. So
Okay.
I have a long, long relationship with Kolkata, which is very emotional. And now sitting here far away in Mumbai, it feels actually very ethereal.
And you lived in Intelli because you put up some pictures of some refurbishments that you're doing and some renovations to your Intelli place.
Yes, absolutely. I actually grew up in the eastern side of Kolkata, in a neighborhood called Fulbagan.
Oh,
So
I know
Fulbagan,
Pulvagan.
oh,
Yes,
you
yes.
know, all right,
I mean, I've heard
awesome.
of it. I heard of it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So
I'm an Asansol
Fulbagan,
girl, so yes.
okay, all right, yeah. So Fulbagan was a very quiet neighborhood when we were growing up, and then of course, when I met Pavan, and then later on we moved to his ancestral home, which is in Antalya. So that's
Okay.
why it features a lot in my writing as well.
So Pulbagan is where close to Park Circus,
No,
if I don't
Fulbagan
know.
is very close to Salt Lake or
Oh, it's that side.
Kapilganj.
Okay, okay,
It's
that
that
side.
side.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's that
Yeah,
side.
I've got my geography totally mixed
Yeah,
up.
that's okay. That's okay. So, usually when I went to college, all my friends were from South Kolkata, that is
Yeah.
Bhawanipur and Alipur and Baliganj, etc. So I was the North Calcutta or the East Calcutta girl.
And were they snooty about you being from North Calcutta? Because there's this thing about North Calcutta. This is really big, it's everywhere. I remember when I was in Delhi, I used to be in South Delhi, and I'm like, oh my God, you don't live in South Delhi. And the
Yeah.
same thing, I was in Brabant, so we lived in Park Circus. So anyone who was like, "Oh, we live in North Calcutta," yeah, really North Calcutta. So
So even
was this?
Mumbai has this South Mumbai and North and the suburbs. But in Kolkata, I was actually also not from North Kolkata. I was from the eastern side, East Kolkata, which was I don't
Okay.
know what it was, but
Yes.
yeah, I was not from South Kolkata.
So tell me about your Kolkata days. I mean, college, uni, school.
Oh, they were now when I think of it, it's like a R.K. Narayan story, you know.
Oh,
I mean, I grew up in a very peaceful neighborhood, and we would come back from school, and then we would go to a dancing school. You know how it is in a house in Kolkata. Everybody has to learn how to dance.
yep.
There was a teacher who would come to play us, teach us how to sing on the harmonium. So, all those things happened. College was St. Xavier's, which was phenomenal 3 years. I made some friends who are my friends for life. And then I spent some time at the Jadavpur University.
Oh, I was there
And
too. Yes.
yeah,
Okay, but you're much younger. So
yes.
anyway,
So, but it's actually Kolkata which really introduced me to, the world of cinema, art, literature, culture, everything that I am today. I owe a lot to the way the city nurtured me. So even in my writings, Saleha, because we connected over, Calcutta Unlimited, and if you see, a lot of my writings feature Kolkata.
yep.
Whether it is Bulada, the shopkeeper who was
That
opposite
was
our home in
fantastic. Yes.
Italy, yeah, or whether it's Das Babu who has 100 cats and who was next to our home in Fulbagan. or whether it was Budhya the rickshaw puller. So a lot of it, is a part of my writing, and I love to tell stories, and my stories about my Kolkata days are very special to me.
Wow. And where did this love for writing come about? When did it come about?
So it's actually a very strange connection, and now that you ask, I'm going to tell you. So my father and my mother had adopted me when I was probably a month old or 2 months or something. And when I grew up, I learned that they are not my biological parents, but I really wanted to
And
be like
how
them.
did that make you feel?
Not too good because I was really in love with my parents, and
Yeah.
to know that they are not my biological parents was not very good. But now
Looking back, does that matter?
Now it doesn't, but at that time it did. As a child, it did. So I wanted to be like them. So I couldn't be physically like them because my mother was very fair, sharp features. So, I was very different from her to look at. But my father was very good in language. He used to write poetry. I mean, he was a business person, but he would write poetry. He was very good both in English and Hindi. So I decided I'm going to write too. So actually, that's where this is something that I have never probably mentioned it, but now that you're talking to me, so it goes back to those days, and then I think it just came naturally. Also because I grew up in a family of storytellers. All my kakas, my pishis, my mamas, they are all amazing storytellers. So I guess they speak well. I just started writing well.
So did you try and look for your biological parents?
Oh, I was adopted in the family. So yeah,
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
it's okay, okay, okay. And um, so here's my question. This is something, not a question, but I suppose I'm nosy. I'm very inquisitive, which is why I
Yeah.
do the letters. Because most of my guests I've never met. I meet them virtually for the
Mhm.
first time. So you said you wanted to be like your mother, who was tall and fair. Does it
Huh.
really matter, Sangeeta? I mean, I know you're talking from a 10-year-old child's point of view, but looking back,
Mhm.
does it matter? We lay so much emphasis on looks and fair. You have to be fair skinned, and yet, and I'll give you an example. When Indians are called names, then we call it racial discrimination, and yet we are constantly compartmentalizing people. They're tall, they're fair, they're Brahmins, they're Shudras, they're lower castes, they're upper castes. There's this constant, and this is something that I have written about. I mean, it was a story that I wrote for my website and part of my blog. But again, I've never met you. We are connecting for the first time, except for like, commenting on each other's posts. Does it really matter whether you're fair, tall? Because at the end of the day, when you look back, I mean, I've seen people who, when I was 22, 25, even 30, who were tall, good looking, or women were gorgeous. I look at them in their 50s, they've aged so badly. And that's the
So
truth.
today, Saleha, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all, absolutely. I think it's what's within you which takes you anywhere you want to reach.
Yeah.
What you look from the outside is actually just it should be more a perception of what you feel inside.
Of course.
Your physical features have nothing to do with it. But what I'm talking about was when I was maybe 5, 6, 7, or 8
It
years old.
made a lot of difference
So
to you.
it's societal conditioning. It's the other people telling you. And as a child, you are just developing your perceptions. So it's the other people who are telling you that, oh, you don't look like your mother because she's fair and she's got sharp features and you're not fair. And that's where the conditioning begins. But I'll tell you about myself. I have two daughters. I have never conditioned them with these kind of prejudices.
Yes.
In fact, Saleha, I never bought any Barbie dolls for my children ever. I never
Great.
told them fairy tales.
Good on you. Good
I
on
never
you.
told them fairy tales. Because I don't think in life there's any live ever after, happily ever after.
No.
There are no princes who'll come on white
That's
horses.
all in Mills and Boone.
Absolutely. And yeah, so I mean, in my house, no, there is no prejudice on what you look like from outside. Nobody judges anybody. And I think the world is also changing a lot. I write a lot about that as well, because,
Yeah.
even something as silly as a fairness cream.
Oh, yeah. I wrote one on that. Maybe we
Yeah,
should put
it's,
it up
it's
together.
we should, because
I
I remember
called,
there was an advertisement which said that you need to become fair if you need to pass an interview.
well, that's a new one. My
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
housekeeper when I was in India, Pujila, she used Fair and Lovely every day. And the
Uh,
only reason she used this is because she had to be Farsha.
for
So,
sure. Yes,
and then
yes.
somebody in her village told her, Pratik din tomato khao. So every day she was having tomatoes because she had to be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe you and I should put it up together. This,
Absolutely. We
yes,
should. We should.
it actually got picked up by one of the my little story about, and I'll start with. I mean, I don't want to tell you the story, then it's no point. But it's actually personal, and
Uh-huh.
it's how I have changed as a person,
Uh,
and have moved away from
mm,
fair and dark and tall
mm,
and thin.
mhm,
All
mm.
this, yes, we are conditioned. But
Yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
uh,
Yeah.
so we have a long way to go, and I think once we realize that, that's when we inculcate our children with these things and make sure that they are not being racist or they are not being judgmental. We can only
Mm-hmm.
try so much.
Yeah.
Hey, I had to ask you about your Lean In project because that's how we first connected. Because you wanted to share
Yes.
Didima's story on your Lean In
Absolutely.
project.
I
Yes,
was so moved, Saleha, when I read that story. It
she's my
felt
hero.
so
Yes,
close to, I mean, and I think I wrote to you because I just wanted to connect with the person who has written this. So, Lenin has been something which has been very special for me. And of course, I had read Sheryl Sandberg's book,
yep. So have I.
Women, Work, and the Will to Lead. And I was very fascinated by the entire concept that she writes about, about also. And then from this book came about this entire concept of women getting together in small circles
Yes.
and building circles of trust, and also, speaking about their challenges and triumphs. So I got associated with Lean in Mumbai a little more than 3 years ago. In fact, it was a small
Hey,
circle of
sorry,
women.
can I ask you something? So I've read Lenin.
Yes.
A friend of mine, Konkona, she sent it to me, and I loved
Okay.
it. One of
Uh-huh.
the things, one of the criticisms that I've heard and read is that it was easy for Sheryl Sandberg to write this book because she comes
Mhm.
from a very privileged background, and
Right.
she does because she's gone to Harvard, which not
Right.
very many people have the opportunity to do. Most people don't come from a privileged background like hers. Working
That's
in
right.
Lean, what do
Mhm.
you think? Are you only meeting privileged people? Are you meeting underprivileged people? Uh, what
So,
is it?
that's a very interesting question that you've asked me, Saleha. So, Lenin has helped me connect with a lot of diverse women who work with people who are not privileged. For instance, I have my friend from Lenin who's Anupama Eshwaran, and throughout the lockdown, she was working for the LGBTQI community
Wow,
because
wow,
in India there are a lot of these people who are on street corners and they are
yep,
begging for their
yep,
livelihood
yeah,
because during the lockdown there are no social events happening, so they cannot go there, perform, or take any money. She was working for them. I have met this beautiful friend called Modhurima Majumdar. She works for people who suffered from domestic violence during the lockdown, and she's continuing her work. So Lenin gives me that opportunity to connect with women who are working with the entire
underprivileged people.
population. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So what do you do at Lenin? Sorry.
So essentially, I mean, if you ask me, I am a regional leader. I'm their
Yep.
network leader. I drive the network. And what I'm committed to is creating a safe space where women can come together and find a non judgmental platform where they can freely speak about their challenges. And then somebody from the group picks up that challenge and can mentor them. So that's the space that I'm providing. I'm nurturing that platform. And it's not just me. We have two more regional leaders who are there with me. And then we have a team of community leaders who work. So we work together for this. In fact, we are also looking at, we have these thematic months. Like, for instance, last month we celebrated singlehood. So, all the challenges of being single in an urban milieu. So, we were talking about
I
that.
have to say here, I read your post and I connected with Srimoyi Kundu.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Uh,
She's
and
such an
and
amazing person.
yes, I don't know her. I did
Yeah,
tell her that I got her contact from you from your post, and
yeah.
she's coming to my Melbourne show.
That's wonderful because
Yep.
Srimoy is such a deep person and she's had such a deep journey in her life and she wants to share it and she wants other people to benefit from her challenges and how she overcame them. That's amazing. You will love talking to her.
Well, thank you to you.
I
So
just
big
had a
thank
virtual adda with her 2 days ago. We connected over Zoom because she lives in Calcutta now and I'm in Mumbai. So yeah, but even I haven't met her. I just connected with her virtually.
so yeah, thank you for that. I mean,
Yeah, you're most
you
welcome.
make so many connections from all over. And I just read your post, and that's what I was like. Yeah, she sounds so awesome. So let's just,
Yes.
yes. So
Yes, because see, Shimoy writes about the single woman in India, and I have been, in my life, I had been a single mother for many years, so I
have have
understand the
have,
challenge.
have people changed their minds about it?
Sorry.
Have people changed their minds about single mothers being single in your middle age? Have people changed their minds, or are they still judgmental?
So I would say, perceptions are changing
Are
because
they?
there is a lot of conversation that is happening around it. But there are a lot of deep-rooted, ideas in your mind, and it takes a very long time to change those. So, but the new generation, like, for maybe for my daughters, I mean, they don't care who's single,
Yeah,
who's married, who's living in.
absolutely.
It's
Yep, yeah,
immaterial to them.
yeah.
But maybe somebody who's above my generation, it does matter to them.
I asked because my girls are single.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and although my parents don't ever ask me, or my brother will never ask me, I've had friends ask me, not my closest friends, and when I tell them that now they want to be single, it's like, oh, they haven't met the right person. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
Even if they meet the right person,
They just want to
they
be
don't
single.
want to. They don't want to get married. They don't
Saleha,
want.
my girls are single, and I don't think they're interested in getting married. But that's okay for Pavan and I.
Yes,
It's their
yes,
life. They need to decide what they want to do. So, but
and
yes, I do have people in my family, extended family, who do throw hints, when we go to social events, and it's really troublesome. So I just smile. But
yeah,
ultimately, it's my
that,
daughters
that,
who take
that's
their
that's
decision.
that's why I asked, because you know I mean, it's not just back home, it is here too. Here
Okay.
too. If I tell, again, not my close friends, because the girls were very young when we moved, so they've
Mhm.
seen my girls, they know, and they understand. Yes, they don't want to get married, they don't want to have
Mhm.
children. But even my friends in Australia, Australian Aussie people from different backgrounds, children married now in their 30s, oh my god, not married, oh, they haven't met the right person. Even they can. It is no more about marriage being the end all and be all of a woman's life.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
when do
Yeah.
you think we are going to change? Are we going to change at all? Is the mindset changing?
See, it's going to take time. So, for instance, somebody like me, I have changed. I don't think marriage is important. I mean, it's I think it's a very personal decision. If somebody wants to marry, he or she can marry, and if
Yep.
somebody doesn't want to marry, that's okay. And also, I don't think there is any age to marry. You
Yep.
know, there is no age to marry. You marry when you want to. Somebody may feel comfortable in 20s, or somebody may feel comfortable in her 40s to get married. So that's okay. That's a personal choice. It's just one of the things that you do in life. If you want to do it, it's not the only thing that you have
Yep.
to do in life. So
I
I'm
think
sure there are many like me who think that way for about their
yes.
children.
I
So I
think
hope perceptions
yes.
are changing.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
feel, again, I mean, again, we are always thinking that the man should be the breadwinner. The fact that a woman has,
Hmm.
a status, she's working, even when she's a housewife, she
Hmm.
puts in more than what, 18 hours, 20 hours a day, looking after kids,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
cooking meals.
Yes.
So it is
Yes.
we every way we have to change. And every time I go home, unfortunately, um, I don't see the change. I still
Hmm.
hear people saying, "Oh, okay, বিয়ে করবে না কেন করবে না ঠিক আছে বয়স." It's not that anymore. It's just that they don't want to get married. Period, and that's fine.
Yes, absolutely.
That
Yeah,
is
that's
fine.
absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
Sorry, and you were talking lean in, and we kind of
Yeah,
digress.
yes. No, but these are some of the questions, topics that we raise in Lean in our monthly conversations. And, because Lean in Mumbai is a confluence of almost about 500 very powerful women, who are in senior leadership or mid management positions. So they are women who can make a change. So it's very important for us to get together because somebody has to take an attempt to change. And if
And
someone
drive
like,
that change. Yes,
absolutely, somebody has to drive that change. And when you drive that change, you help 10 other people change along
of
with you.
course, of course. It takes
So, yeah,
time, but at least it's a start.
yes, absolutely. Yes.
Hey,
In fact,
so
we've had women in Lenin who have shattered patriarchy. I'm
good.
going to come out with some of their stories soon. So, I'll connect you to Lenin and yeah,
Thank
you'll
you.
hear
That
about
would be great. Thank
it.
you.
Yes.
Hey, you talked about Pavan, and one of
Yes.
your writings, you talked about a second chance at love. I
Yes.
am a born romantic. My husband's just the opposite. His idea of romance is watching a movie. My idea of romance is what Milton Boone taught me, which is so not true. There is no happily ever after. That is all bullshit. So
That
yes.
is.
So,
So actually, Saleha, it's not my second chance at love. It's my first chance at love, but second chance at marriage. So, I was married before. Urmika and Ashna, my daughters, are from my first marriage. But unfortunately, I was married to somebody who was physically extremely violent and emotionally abusive. And I did stay back in that marriage for a few years. And then, I gathered the courage to walk out.
good on
And
you.
I
Good on you.
absolutely,
Good
my
on you.
friends celebrated it. When I walked out, they treated me and they said, hurrah. And I'm talking about some years ago when my girls were young. And then I was a single mom for, several years, a few years. And I met Pavan at work and we knew each other's for some years. And yeah, then we married. He's actually my best friend, my soulmate.
Good. This is so good. And,
Yes.
and you're doing up the family home together.
Yeah. So when we moved into Entali, obviously he was already living there, but yeah, it's almost about 100 years old. So we were bit by bit we restored it and we were living there. But now we are in Mumbai. Yeah.
Wow, this is really good. I mean, I love hearing stories like this. Honestly, it makes me feel so good because, like I said, we connected with Didima. Um, she became a widow at the age of 27. Never
Yes,
had
I read
a
about
second
it.
chance.
Yes.
Yes, never had a
Yes.
second chance. So, whether it was at love, whether it was at marriage, times were different.
Mhm.
Uh, Sometimes second chances are also, you're not always lucky. So, Fingers
Yes, yes,
crossed.
yes,
So
actually,
yes, yes.
yes.
So
I think it's a lot also, luck also plays a part. And a lot of times, when two human beings are together, uh, it also has to be a lot about how you develop, how you grow your
absolutely,
relationship.
absolutely,
You
absolutely.
know, yes.
Marriage is all about compromise and give and take. Although,
It's a beautiful give and take, I would say. It's a beautiful give and take, and yeah, so that's what it is. Yes, but it's an interesting journey.
so when was the last time you were in Cal?
It's been some time. I went there 3 years ago.
And
Yes.
things have changed. I don't recognize any roads anymore, um, and we have very little time now. So
Okay.
tell me what are the changes that you saw? What are the things that haven't changed? Because I haven't been there for a while, and Goriahat
Uh,
seems all different. Um,
So Didi is bringing in a lot of changes. I think there are a lot of flyovers, etc. But I think at heart, Kolkata is still the same. At least the people I know, I have some family there, and I have a few friends who are still there. A lot of them, of course, moved out, but so they are there. My street on Entrali hasn't changed. I think
okay.
that's been a hanger, and it's just the same. The shops and nothing seems to be changing there. So I love Kolkata during winter. So
Yes. What
it's
winter? 31 is winter. And
yeah.
31 is peak summer for me. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
my cousin got married a few years ago, I think 5, 6 years ago, and we were going to Calcutta for his shadi. So we went
Mhm,
in a typical bus from Asansol, Bodjatri, and all that. We
mhm.
entered Kolkata, where the flyover is near Goriahat,
Yes.
and there's a
Uh-huh.
big temperature board, and it
Uh-huh.
said 31, and I'm like, this is supposed to be January. Oh, for God's sake. It is peak summer here. It
I
has
know
hail.
you're in the southern hemisphere,
Yes,
so
I'm
I know.
wearing I'm wearing a jumper, a thick jumper.
Yes.
Thankfully, you can't see it over my scarf. It has hailed. The temperature has plummeted from like 23 to 13. So
Okay.
31 in January in Cal is like anyway. Time's running out, like it always does when you have a good time. Thank you so much for hanging
Thank
out with
you,
me.
Saleha. It was amazing to connect and to have this adda with somebody whom I haven't met. I'm just meeting virtually, but because we have that Kolkata connect, Calcutta connect, so it
Calcutta,
feels like I'm
yes,
meeting a
this is
friend.
Calcutta Unlimited Connect. So
Yes,
yes, we must put up a story together about
absolutely.
color,
We'll do
about
that,
everything.
Saleha.
I'll text you the day I put it up, and because I'm 5.5 hours ahead of you, so I'll always
Absolutely.
yes,
And
we'll do that
I would
together.
love to be a part of your adda again.
Thank you. I'll
Thank you,
get you for
Saleha.
my Melbourne one. Okay. Thanks so much,
Absolutely.
Sangeeta.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Bhalat ko.
Rumio, thank you everyone for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Bye.